And welcome to our Sunday evening service. And we are continuing on in the first chapters, plural, of Genesis, the ones that everybody likes to pick at and ignore. The first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis are actually the foundation for the whole life of faith. I was going to say the Christian life, but it was the foundation for all of faith leading up to the time of Abraham and then Israel after the time of Abraham, as well as all the rest of mankind. And then as we develop a New Testament theology, then it is the foundation for that as well. Jesus referred to the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis many times in his sermons and his presentations and his answers to others. So if he, being God, Son of God, God the Son, if he deems the first book of the Bible as extremely important, then it is, and you and I must too. This is the building blocks of our faith. Now, I do want to look at chapter 10 a little bit, and the notes that I have prepared here, I highlighted some, not all, but some of the names that are on there because they are some of the most, not important, but familiar names to us. And so I want to make a comment or two about each of those as we get to them. But before we do that, I thought I'd do a little show and tell. We've been talking about creation, we've been talking about the flood, and now we're dealing with the aftermath of the flood. And part of the aftermath of the flood was the reconditioning of the earth and the stratification of the soil as it piles up in layers or strata. A stratum is a layer, okay? For your birthday, you may have a 3-stratum cake. But that's what it is. It's a layer. And so we look at the layers piled up one upon the other. Had it taken millions and billions of years for that stratification to occur, you would have gotten a layer, a deposit layer of sand, dirt, silt, whatever. And over a couple of billion years, you would have had life going on top of that. It would have been worn down, you'd have pits, you'd have animals and insects digging down through it. It would show signs of erosion, and not one single layer demonstrates any of it. It was not laid down over a long period of time, but very rapidly. As we mentioned several weeks ago, with Mount St. Helens, when that erupted in 1980. May 18th, 1980, I was 31, the day before. That's how I remember it. What came out of that was, over the course of 4 or 5 days, I think, was a rutted out place where the, I forget the name of it, I think it was the, Spirit Lake. Spirit Lake broke down and cut out a crevice and dug a canyon that they now call the Little Grand Canyon because it's stratified just like the Grand Canyon. It's cut out, formed a gorge like the Grand Canyon. There's a little trickle of a river running through at the bottom, just like the Grand Canyon. Is about 1/40th scale to the Grand Canyon. That was formed in several days. Now, it wouldn't take millions of years to form a canyon 40 times bigger with a worldwide flood. And all of these evidences are seen not only in the United States, but in Europe, in Asia, and all around the world. Every place, every continent. Australia has massive dumps of coal that came from all of the vegetation that covered the whole earth. And that's why we have so many massive deposits of coal throughout the United States and Europe and Australia and everywhere. There is enough fossil fuel to keep mankind going for a very, very, very long time. And oil deposits, they're down in the ground under tremendous pressure. When we dig an oil well, the oil comes shooting up. That pressure in itself has a short shelf life. It would have dissipated over millions of years. There might be oil down there, but it wouldn't be as willing to come to the surface because the pressure, the coal gas, creating the pressure, would have already dissipated. But it's consistent with thousands of years, not millions. And so our claim in creation that the earth is probably around, and can't be real specific, I can't give you a month and a week and a day on this, but it is around 6,000 years. Well, so, suppose somebody says it's 7,000 or 8,000 years old. We'll take it. We'll take it because 1,000 years against the process of all time it's a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. Okay? Now, that is the backstory. Before I get into Genesis 10, though, I wanted to show you some items. One of the things that has been of interest since about the 1790s are the bones and the teeth and the shells and the various things that have been unearthed. Most of them in the 19th and 20th centuries. In fact, as the permafrost melts in the Baltic area and around Russia, more and more extinct animals, some of which we knew absolutely nothing about, are being exposed. Their skeletons or their fossils. And I found that exciting. And I didn't learn that, by the way, from a creation website. I learned it from an evolutionary website. Of course, they want to make it millions of years, and millions of years before mankind came along, because they hate the evidence that we find that demonstrates that man and extinct animals lived at the same time, dinosaurs and others. That's exactly what they're finding too. And I think it's exciting. And I think it's exciting because that's what the Word of God said in the first place. And Job 40 and 41 demonstrates that, as well as many other verses throughout the Bible demonstrates that there were the presence of some very strange animals. Now we might call them monsters today, or monstrous beasts, or Bigfoot, or something like that. But people in old times, especially old-time English, refer to them as dragons. I think the dinosaurs of yesteryear and the dragons of yesteryear are the same critters. They don't necessarily fly with wings and all that, though. There probably were sea-ringed serpents. We have some indication of that in the fossil record. And anyway, all of that to say this. I've got a few examples up here. No, I didn't dig any of them up. In fact, at least one isn't even real. This one, I ordered a facsimile of a pterodactyl, or not a pterodactyl, but a T-Rex tooth. The one I got was the tip. I paid $8 for that. And it's not even real, it's a casting of the real one. Okay? But they said some of the T-Rex teeth would be, 6, 7, 8 inches in length, would be about that much. I made the rest of this. In case you want to make one, Institute for Creation Research will sell you the tip, and 3 toilet paper rollers will make the rest of it. Stuff a little paper in there. I put a rock in the bottom to give it some weight. But some of them get to be as long as 12 inches, and that's what that is. That's a 12-inch T-Rex tooth, which I made myself. Then, from a different place, I ordered a trilobite. Now, a trilobite was a little sea creature, a little crustacean, lived in the bottom of the ocean. They believe, the evolutionists believe, that the trilobites lived, 100 million years ago, and then they went extinct, and therefore we find them in the very bottom layer of the stratified Earth. And we do, but we also find them in other places. In the upper stratus, the first few, they are extinct. And this is a trilobite. Somebody discovered a trilobite and harvested it. That is, they chipped around it and dug it up and cleaned it up a little bit. And that's what this is. And I'm going to put all these where you can see it. And then I have some ammonites. This one is cut in half, so you can see on the inside, this is an ancient snail, basically, sea snail. And this one is cut in half, so inside you can see the various chambers of the shell that this critter would have made as it grew. The shells would get bigger and bigger with age. And I've got a bigger one here that was harvested and cleaned up and polished. Okay, and then I have another one here that's a medium size, and it was dug up and not polished. So I want you to see the differences there. I'm going to lay them up here. I can go all the way down here. And that's the pretty one here. Okay, and then the T-Rex. How would you like to brush those every night? I'm going to put all this down here too. How many minutes I have?
You're at 12 minutes.
Okay. So we'll just get this started. In the introduction in chapter 10, it says, "Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were born sons, or sons born after the flood." So we're given a time period here. This is after the flood. We don't know how much after the flood, but enough that sons, plural, would be born unto them. And then 2, the sons of Japheth, and he goes on and gives us the sons of Japheth. And then verse 3, the sons of Gomer. And then the sons of Javan. And then 5. 5 is a little introduction here, sort of a teaser that you would put into a story or a novel, kind of giving a hint of something to come that hasn't come yet. So when we get down here to verse 5, he gives us an indication that the Tower of Babel is coming and what's going to happen. He also gives us an indication that when the Tower of Babel has taken place, that there is a difference in languages, and they are separated according to their languages, their tongues, according to their families, and according to their nations. Now, there was only one people. There was only one language. There was no separate nation. None of that happened until we get down here to the bottom part of chapter 10, and we see the Tower of Babel, or if you wish, Babel, it means the gate of God. And so when we get down there, all these changes take place. But notice here, when God divided up the people of the earth, and these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue, after his families, and after his nations. So that's your spoiler. That's the thing that is coming. And we're going to see all of that work out then in chapter 10 and chapter 11. That's why they're crucial. We have the beginning of man. We have the recreation of the earth. We have the beginning of languages, nations, and people families, people groups. Okay? And that's where we'll call it quits for now. Feel free to look at these. Don't take them home.